What's going on, guys and gals of GCC Student Ministry? Man, so my... Oh, I kind of want to listen to what it sounds like because I forgot to turn my sound off on my phone. So I had a technical difficulty, and it's Apple's fault. Let me tell you what happened. So you guys probably noticed I didn't have any music for the beginning of the live stream tonight. That was not intentional on my part. I have actually had a new song that I was going to play. There's royalty-free songs because don't want to get in trouble with the YouTubes. Hopefully I don't get in trouble for saying that out loud, but we'll see. Anyways, I was going to play this new song, and it was pretty cool. I liked it. My MacBook had an update. I think it was like this week or last week, and so I think that's what contributed to Apple Music being like, no, we're not going to play the song that you downloaded on your computer. Mind you, I didn't even buy them. Like, they're free songs, they're royalty-free songs. So I just downloaded it, and I was going to play it off my computer. My computer's like, no, you can't do that. So it worked fine on my headphones, but it did not work for the live stream. So that was like 2 minutes before, and I was like, trying to scramble to figure it out. But anyways, tunes next week. You guys know what it's time for. You guys who are here early for the live stream, we got to get into some announcements. And we're going to begin like we always do with our weekly update. Not actually showing it. Maybe I should show it for the live stream. But down the description below is a link to weekly update number 14. There is no He-Man singing beautiful golden vocals like the picture shows in that video, but you never know. I may bust out some pipes one of these days, and we may get a little crazy. But every single week I always challenge you all to seek Jesus each and every day, because who can go wrong with seeking after Jesus every day, right? But also, if we're all going to be followers of Jesus, many of us have made the decision to follow Jesus by putting on him in baptism, saying, yes, he is the Lord of my life, and I'm going to follow him with everything I have. I think it's really important, especially during this season of life, that we talk practically about what you should be doing each and every day to seek Jesus. And even those of you who aren't baptized yet, like, you all should do this too. Like, this is a really, really good practice for all of us as we seek to follow Jesus every single day. So the first one is rather simple. Pray. You pray to the Lord. All of us, I hope, at this point in our life have some type of practice that we feel comfortable with, whether that's praying in the car, out loud. I don't know how many of you guys are actually driving right now, but praying in the car, praying silently, prayer journaling. There's all types of different practices. Find a practice and stick to it. And of course, number 2 is you can seek Jesus every day by reaching out to your source group. That is a huge piece, I think, of seeking after Jesus every single day, because our source groups are like a microcosm, if you will. They're like a mini version of what it's like to do church. And your parents could vouch for this. When they go to church, they're not just there to study the Bible. They're not just there to sing songs. They're not just there to take communion, which are all very important things. Don't hear me wrong when I say that. But they're also there to be in community. They're at church to be connected to the body of Christ, to reach out to people that they only reach out to once a week. And the same is true, I think, for source groups. So let me tell you about source groups. Have you heard about source groups? Well, here's what they are. Source groups are groups of 3 to 4 students and one influential adult who join together each, on Zoom for 30 minutes at a time or day of their choice. They talk about life. Basically, it's just a group that holds you accountable to this idea, this number 2 in our Seek Jesus every single day. Reaching out to your source group is a super important way, I think, of seeking after Jesus each and every single day. But let's move on to number 3, reading your Bible. Now, there's a super easy win when it comes to reading your Bible. And if you guys don't know this yet, I feel sorry for you, because there's a really I don't mean to like toot my own horn, but I really feel like it's a really helpful resource, and it also is in the description below. The entire playlist for a little something I like to call hashtag Bible reading Mark. This is I just showed the day 4 image, but there's 16 of these things, okay? And the thing behind this, and this not only helps me know that you're reading the Bible plan, and so that way I can know that you guys are engaging with this thing that we've put together, but it also, more than that, helps your fellow youth group students. It helps them know that they're not doing it by themselves. You go ahead, whenever you finish a day, you jump on Slack in a hashtag Bible reading plan, and you leave a thumbs up on Slack and hashtag Bible reading plan. That is one of the most important ways that you can make an impact while you continue your study through the book of Mark. And there's plenty of stuff to go through. Take a look at this. There's 16 of these videos. The first one I highly, highly, highly recommend. 6 basic tips for your hashtag Bible reading plan. That'll really get you off. Really get you started really well. There'll be a lot of helpful things that will kind of steer you in the right direction, because one of the most frustrating things, speaking from personal experience, whenever I go to the Bible is, I often will read a chapter that I feel really good about, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Day 2, I feel somewhat meh about that chapter. I don't really feel like I fully know what's going on. And then every now and then, you'll run across a chapter that's just like, I don't know what's going on. I'll be the first one to admit that. I went to school. I got a Bible degree, y'all, but sometimes I don't fully know what's going on in some of the chapters. But the answer there isn't to pull away. The answer there isn't to give up. No, it's dig in. It's ask good questions. Write down those questions. Try to find answers to them. Sometimes those questions don't have answers. That's pretty upsetting. But the work is worth doing. You know what I mean? The work is worth doing. Being able to engage with the Bible is one of the most important things you can do as a teenager. And don't take that lightly. It is a very, very important thing. So make sure that you're diving in to hashtag Bible reading plan. That being said, that's all of our announcements. So I want us to go ahead and dive into our game. This is part number 2 for a little game that we're liking to call Which Town is Real? Now, last week we had quite a few really weird towns. Well, this week, I'd say the towns are even weirder. I know you're thinking like, are you serious? They can get weirder? Oh, they can get weirder, all right. They can get weirder, all right. So, quick look at the rules. Here's what the rules are for this game. 2 of the town names are fake, but one of them is real. Can you guess which of these town names are real? First up, we got the great state of Missouri. We got 3 options for you. I want you to go ahead and spam down in the chat which of these you think is actually a town in the state of Missouri. We got Frankenstein, Missouri, Dracula Flats, Missouri, or Godzillaburg, Missouri. Tell me down in the comments. Which of these do you think is a real place in the weird state of Missouri? They call it the Show Me State. Well, show me the answer down in the comments. Is it Frankenstein, Dracula Flats, or Godzillaburg? Frankenstein says A-R-T-S, A-I-R-T-S. Anyone else? Mrs. Briley, Armentrout, Mr. Hunter French, tell me down in the comments. What do you think it is? Is it Frankenstein, or is it Dracula Flats? David Ellis coming in with Frankenstein. Hunter coming in with Dracula Flats. That means we're tied up right now, 2-2. Frankenstein, Dracula Flats. David, love your picture, by the way. That is amazing. The fish, love it, love it, love it. Frankenstein, Dracula Flats. No love for my Godzillaburg. Do you guys know what Godzilla is? Of course, they had the reboot of Godzilla, so I know you guys are probably well acquainted. And I know the internet. That's the beauty. Is the internet makes us connoisseurs of random things. And some of you all might know about the old 1970s, 1960s, I believe it was. No, it would have been earlier than that. Maybe even 50s, 50s, 60s. Godzilla movies, Japanese movies. They're awesome. All of you say yes. Yes, yes, yes. Excellent. Okay, we're half and half. Let's find out. Frankenstein, Dracula Flats, because it looks like Godzillabird's kicked out. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. It is Frankenstein. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So 2 of y'all are doing great. Ertz and David Ellis killing it. Frankenstein. Dracula Flats. Sorry, y'all. Right over the O and the U. I'm an OU fan. I'm a fan of that. All right. Next state. Another southern state. Let's bring it on. MISSI, cold beans, Bananaville, or hot coffee. Boy, I hope it's cold beans. I mean, I have the answer in front of me, but I will not reveal it. Go ahead and tell me down in the comments. Cold beans, Bananaville, or hot coffee. Man, Bananaville is a really cool name. That is a really, really, really cool name. Cold beans? Question mark? Bananaville. All right, we're going Bananaville. We're going hot coffee, cold beans, maybe Bananaville. Okay, so we got 3 choices up on the board. Might want to tighten that up, y'all. Might want to tighten that up a little bit. Briley, figure this out for us. We have an answer in all 3 of these categories. Fill us in. What do you think? Cold beans, Bananaville, coffee. Hot coffee, my bad. I had a coffee today. I had a beautiful coffee from North Carolina. It was sourced in Ethiopia. Of course, they didn't grow it in North Carolina. I don't know if you all know. There's like a bean. There's like a coffee bean. I'll give you time. I'm delaying for you, Bradley. There's like a coffee bean belt around the earth, like right around the equator, and that's where all the world's coffee is grown. So it's like, Ethiopia in Africa, Colombia. Colombia is like one of the premier places to buy coffee. There's a place in like the Philippines area, I believe, Malaya, something like that, where they grow coffee. So David, you're drilling down on cold beans. All right, we got cold beans. We got 2 for cold beans. We got a Bananaville and we got a hot coffee. Well, let's find out, because one of them's correct. In 3, 2, 1, it is hot coffee. Hot coffee. Look at you, Hunter. Any of y'all ever been to hot coffee? I wonder if all of these towns are still a thing. I don't know how well researched this game is. I purchased this. I didn't make this, by the way. So we'll find out. A quick Google search after this is over. Y'all take notes. I hope maybe some of you guys take notes on the material. That's awesome if you do. But if you have like a notepad out and you're like taking notes on the Verbs of Jesus stuff later on, write down some of these names and Google them later, and then you can text me or email me later, or tell me the next time you see me in person and be like, yeah, hot coffee is not a real place. All right. Next one. This one's pretty wild. This one's pretty wacky. Wacky woodle wadoodle. Got the great state of Wisconsin. We got 3 options. Tree, frog, slough. I thought that said slaw at first. Spread eagle. Boy, I hope it's not spread eagle. And kitty corners. Kitty corners. Man, I don't know about you all, but BRB moving to Mississippi. Amen. Let's get that hot coffee. Am I right? Love some good coffee. So anyways, I don't know how many of you guys know geography well of like the northern states, but mine is like none. Grew up in Oklahoma. Like I don't really know what's going on up there. I barely know which one's which, But like looking at pictures like this, I'm like, wow, I really know nothing. Like, look at this. Y'all see this? Do y'all see that? Look at all those little islands. What? Man, the Great Lakes are huge. In case you guys didn't know, they're huge, okay? Like, they're like oceans. We got kitty corners twice. Oh, sorry. Briley, you're going for kitty corners. I'm just kidding. I see kitty corners. 3 for kitty corners. David unsure. Autumn coming in with an answer here pretty soon, I think, as well. You going tree frog slough over here? Or spread eagle? That'd be such a cool mascot. You got this eagle just like... Eagles are so cool. Eagles are so incredibly cool. I don't know how many of you guys have ever seen an eagle like in the wild, like a bald eagle. They're majestic. They're super majestic. Tree frog slough. Okay, we got 3. No? Yeah, 1, 2, 3 for Kitty Corners. 1 for Tree Frog Slough. Any others? Any others? Going once, twice, thrice. Need I talk about coffee again? Okay, I wasn't done, if I'm honest. Tree Frog Slough. Tree Frog Slaw. That's what that looks like to me. I love a good coleslaw. Oh, man, I want coleslaw so bad right now. You know who has good coleslaw? This is going to sound weird. Bojangles. Oh, yeah. Because I think they do mayo and sour cream for their base. And I love the tanginess of that. And they're not cucumber. Whatever it's called. The stuff, the main stuff. What's it called? Cabbage. Their cabbage is always really fresh. And I like that. They always do like some pickle in there too. I love pickles in slaw. All right. It's time to find out. 3, 2, 1. Is it Tree Frog Slough Spread Eagle Kitty Corners? Unfortunately, it is Spread Eagle. Awkward. Weird. But a cool logo. All the same. You got to admit. Super cool logo. All right. Now on to another state. Up north. I know this one a little bit better than the others because I've got some friends from there. Good old state of Ohio. In the state of Ohio. Is it Pokem, Whipping Stone, or Knock 'em Stiff? Tell me down in the comments. Pokem, Whipping Stone, or Knock 'em Stiff? All of them are pretty aggressive. I don't know, I don't know, just based off of stereotypes, when I think of states as aggressive, I don't think of Ohio. I don't know why, I just don't. I think of Indiana. They're race car drivers over there. Is it Indiana? Yeah, Indiana. And I think oh yeah, they're really tough, aggressive people, I guess. I don't know. But Ohio, I always think of your uncle being from Ohio. I don't know. It's a cool state, but I just imagine it being very sleepy. Cincinnati's beautiful. If you guys ever get to go up to Cincinnati, it's right on the Ohio River. Beautiful city. Absolutely beautiful. We're going Pokem. We're going Whipping Stone. We're going Whipping Stone. We got 2 for Whipping Stone. I'll be honest. I don't want to say Whipping Stone. That's what the Northerners say. I'm going to say Whipping Stone. You ever been to Whipping Stone? That's a southern town. Am I right? Whipping Stone. That's just where I live. It's Whipping Stone. It's with every second I become more southern. Oh, Hunter coming in. Whipping Stone. Y'all dropped the G. Let's be honest. We're not. I doubt you guys are pronouncing it whipping stone either. Although if you do, no judgment. No, Pokem, Ohio. Pokem sounds like a normal town. It's just spelled funky. Pokem. I don't know. I don't know how that would be spelled not weird, but it sounds very normal. Oh yeah, I'm going up to Pokem. That was my best attempt at a northern accent. I'm going up to Pokem. Oh, yeah. Ohio people don't really seem to have much of an accent. To me. I don't know. All right, we got 3. 3 for Whipping Stone. Got 1 for Pokem. Let's find out. 3, 2, 1. Knock 'em stiff. None of y'all get points. You all get... fairy grace points. I bestow them upon you. Gold stars all around for good tries, I suppose. I like that you guys pick Whipping Stone. And David, good on you for picking a town that sounds like an actual town. None of these are actual towns. They're fake towns. I mean, no, I think these are real towns, but they sound like fake towns. Fair enough? Okay. You get what I mean. Next state, near and dear to my original home state, Texas, where everything's big in Texas. I'll tell you a story about something big from Texas after I finish reading these off. Point and click, cut and shoot, pick and roll. Point and click, cut and shoot, pick and roll. One of those should be pretty easy to knock out. That's all I'm going to say. So, Texas, in case you haven't been there, A lot of stuff they like to do really, really big. They got all this space. I mean, it's a very, very, very big state. Huge, right? Very big. We're talking like 10 hours, maybe even longer than that from like tip to tip, right? From the top of the panhandle up here down to like down here, whatever. In Dallas, which is a beautiful town. I love Dallas. It's awesome. Really fun place to visit. Not a lot of stuff to do there, but it's beautiful in its own unique way. They have a place called the Big Texan. You guys might have seen this on the Travel Channel, where they have a 72-ounce steak. Now, 1 pound is 16 ounces. So you do some quick math there. Yeah, that's quite a few pounds of pure, unadulterated beef. It's probably really good, but still, beef is what's for dinner. So, if you can eat that 72 ounces of pure American grass-fed beef in an hour, along with a baked potato fully loaded and a side salad, and I think like a banana pudding, it's free. Otherwise, it's probably like, I don't know, $150 or something like that. I mean, it's really good beef, so like it's a full meal. Anyways, back to the game. Sorry, Riley. Cut and shoot, cut and shoot, cut and shoot, and then we got point and click. Point and click. Sounds very Harry Potter to me. Cut and shoot, cut and shoot, cut and shoot, point and click. Guess what? I am very sorry, Hunter, but it's cut and shoot. I love when you guys win these games. Cut and shoot. Nice detective work. Cut and shoot. Sounds very Texas. Like if it sounds like a name that you say right before spitting into a spittoon. Cut and shoot. Yeah. All right. Next state. Little less what's the word? Big. A little bit more normal. Got the great state of Arizona. Happy Jack, Smiling Mill, and Merry Mirth. Happy Jack, Smiling Mill, and Merry Mirth. Tell me down in the comments. Which of these do you think is an actual town? Which two of these do you think I'm just trying to pull your leg with? I have an idea of which one I think that you all will pick. And I think it's because you all are from Georgia. Because Georgia is a funny state. You know, like, Georgia likes to, like, use a lot of the same words for certain things. So I'm just going to tell you, don't go off of your Georgia sensibilities for what makes a town name. That's all I'll say. We got 2 for Merry Mirth. We got 1 for Happy Jack. Happy Jack. I feel like you have to say it like that. Happy Jack. I'm going on up to Happy Jack. I'm going to get myself a Coca-Cola. Do you need anything, Ethel, at Happy Jack? I feel like you got to test these out in like some kind of Westerner, you know. I'm headed up to Merry Mirth. Y'all need anything? I'm going to Merry Mirth. Right, yeah, it works. Smiling Mill. All up to Smiling Mill. What do you think? You coming with me to Smiling Mill? Yeah, coming up to Smiling Mill. I don't know why. I feel like I turned into a high school football coach whenever I make that voice. I don't know why. Hey. I love high school football coaches. They're awesome. They're sweet. All right. Happy Jack, Smiling Mill, Merry Mirth. And the answer is Happy Jack. Ooh, Hunter gets points, I suppose. I'm not really keeping track of points, but if I did, you would get points. And yeah. All right. Great work, everybody. That was probably the best game we've played on the live stream. I feel like you all like really delivered on the points. I mean, like nice job. But it's just like what's it called? Whose line, right? The points don't matter. And if you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. No need to Google it later. Don't worry about it. But at this time, I think it's important for us to take a few minutes and go to God in prayer. Spending a couple of minutes in thoughtful reflection, in silence is important. And, silence is something that we don't get a lot of nowadays. There's all kinds of noises that are vying for our attention, be it a cell phone or just anything on the internet, anything on our TV, video games. All these things can vie for our attention. And it's very easy, I think, to walk away kind of, or to kind of fill your head with so much noise that you never take time to just be silent. Be still and know that God is God. And so that's what I want us to do tonight. We do this every Wednesday. We've been doing it for the past few weeks. But tonight I want us to do it for about 3 minutes. I know this 3 minutes, I've heard from some of you, you've told me the 3 minutes just feels like forever. And if it does, it gets better with practice. That's all I'll say. So I'm going to put up on the screen now for a time of prayer. I'll have the timer going, and you all just stay tuned in, and I will let you know whenever the time is up. So let's go to God in a time of silent prayer together. All right, so that's 3 minutes. I heard something really, really that impacted me a lot. Either it was this week or last week, and it was talking about spending time in silence with God, because it's a practice that a lot of people do, and it's a great practice to engage in, especially, like I said, in our world that is just constantly just noise, and go fast, and go hard, and grind. And it was this I don't remember who it was, but it was someone who said, I spend 30 minutes in silence every single day with the Lord. And I do 25 minutes where my mind is racing out of control. So that way I can get to the 5 minutes where me and God where I'm actually in touch with, I'm actually free of distractions. And I thought that was such a really, really great concept. If this is a time that's hard for you, if you feel like it just feels like you're reeling, or like it doesn't actually help that much, that's okay. It takes a lot of practice to be able to go into a time of silent prayer. And so don't be too hard on yourself is basically what I'm saying. Because, even trying, there's beauty in trying, which is something we've talked about in our Verbs of Jesus series. And that's exactly what we're going to go ahead and get into right now. We've been going 7 weeks through the Sermon on the Mount. This is week number 8. And as you all very well know, when it comes to the Sermon on the Mount, when it comes to the teachings of Jesus, I think it's all about root work. It's about taking something that's usually very surface level and trying to drill down into it and let it really affect who we are. So Jesus does this consistently throughout the Sermon on the Mount. And it all begins with him explaining kind of what he's going to be doing at the very beginning of the Sermon on the Mount in chapter 5. In verses I think it was 6 through 11, Jesus talks about how he hasn't come to abolish the law, but he's coming to fulfill the law. And so this is an invitation for us as followers of Jesus to take this law, which is good, it's not a bad law, but drill down into it and let it truly transform who we are. Let the concept underneath it transform who we are. And so I always like to give an example of this before we actually get into our material. We take a law and we drill down into the heart of the law. So you take right here, love your family. But can we talk for a second about loving people outside of your tribe? And that's actually exactly the concept that we're going to be talking about today. And this one's a good one. I think all of Jesus's work is fantastic, but this is super, super close to my heart. It's so good. It's so challenging. That's why it's so good, is because it's not easily done. Very few things that Jesus says in these passages are easily done. They require a lot of us getting out of the way, a lot of God moving within us, But this one in particular, this idea of moving beyond just the people who love us to the people that don't love us, how do we love those people? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. And so we start in Matthew chapter 5, verses 38 through 42. Follow along with me. You've heard that it was said, eye for eye and tooth for tooth. This is where Jesus flips it. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also. And if anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, hand over your coat as well. If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles. Give to the one who asks, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. So let's very quickly dive into each one of these little practical sub-points that Jesus makes. So up here we've got eye for eye, tooth for tooth, but I tell you, do not resist an evil person. So this is the main concept, right? He's saying, you've heard this, but I'm saying drill down into it. Let's go even deeper. Eye for eye, tooth for tooth, but I say don't even resist saying yes to an evil person. So we'll get into what eye for an eye is in just a little bit. It's this Old Testament concept where Jesus is spinning off of an idea from Exodus 21, and we're going to get into that just a little bit. But let's talk about some of these practical pieces, and let's understand what it's talking about. Because remember, Jesus is telling this story in an ancient Near Eastern context. All of the Bible is set in this ancient Near Eastern context, but what does Jesus mean by slap you on the cheek, turn them the other cheek also? Sue, take your shirt, hand over the coat as well. So one interesting piece when it comes to this idea of turning the other cheek, which is something that people often talk about, is, they didn't use toilet paper back then. So for someone to slap you on one cheek, but then to use the other hand, it's kind of inviting them to use their well, I won't mince any words, their poop hand. Right? But it's inviting them to realize, hey, you should see me as a person. You should give me some respect. Because if you're going to continue to do this, it's only going to make things worse. Same thing with your shirt and your coat. If anyone wants to sue you for all the money that you're worth, be like, okay, take my clothes. If anyone wants to force you to go a mile, go with them 2 miles. So this is one of those things that a lot of preachers love to talk about. It's this whole idea of Roman soldiers. They would ask Jewish people in their Roman Empire. They would walk up to them and be like, hey, carry all my stuff. And the Jewish person would, by law, be forced to take them 1 mile. But then usually that's when they'd be defiant and be like, fine, I've done the minimum, see you later. But Jesus is saying, go another mile. Show them that you're willing to be gracious to them. And we'll get into all that in just a little bit. But this is kind of what Jesus is talking about when he's trying to talk about these practical applications. So that being said, let's dive into this eye for eye piece that Jesus is expressing. It's tying back into Exodus chapter 21. So eye for eye, well, there's actually a word for that in our modern judicial system. That's lex talionis. You guys at home, just go ahead and say it with me. Lex talionis. Sounds Spanish. It's not. It's actually Latin, like most stuff like that is, but it's basically the equivalent of eye for eye. And the whole point of a lex talionis, or an eye for an eye, is it's saying, okay, we understand that people are going to want to get revenge on other people. It's just part of human nature, right? If someone has hurt me, I'm mad and I demand justice and I want someone to hurt as well. And so lex talionis says, okay, you can do that, but there's a limit to how far you can go. Does that make sense? Like, if someone punches you, you can't, shoot them, right? You can punch them back, but you can't, do worse than what they did. So that's kind of the rule. And actually, this comes from Exodus 21. And I know that sounds weird. The Bible says something like that, but just hold on with me for a second. Exodus 21, 22 through 25. Verse 22, if people are fighting and hit a pregnant woman, and she gives birth prematurely, but there is no serious injury, the offender must be fined whatever the woman's husband demands and the court allows. But if there is serious injury, this is to her or the baby, you are to take life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, bruise for bruise. So the whole concept is, hey guys, this is basically what the law is saying is, hey, there will be a time where, someone kills a baby. By accident or not. And y'all are going to be mad about that. Like you should. I mean, killing a baby is not okay, right? If someone just walked in and took Hannah's life, I would be very mad about that. But this law is trying to say, whoa there, Nelly. Let's not let this get out of hand. And let's agree before that stuff happens that this is going to be the limit for how much violence we're going to allow, how much revenge we'll allow to take place, because we don't want things to escalate beyond anything more. We don't want a cycle of violence just spinning out of control, right? So that's the concept here. And I want you to remember, okay, when we're in Exodus, we're in a really ancient time period. It's hard to remember that when you're reading it, but I mean, you read Judges and you see all these tribes of the tribes, these clans of the tribes fighting, and it seems like something out of a medieval barbarian situation or movie or documentary. But that's before all that. That's before even medieval Europe happens. So this is an ancient people who are receiving the law from Yahweh God, And this is the expectation. Does that make sense? So Jesus comes on the scene and he says, that's really not good enough. Like, that was good, but let's push it farther. Let's drill down past the law and let's get to like how we can fix the human person after they've been affected by something terrible. Violence, oppression, offense, anything. What should your expectation for yourself be? How can you push eye for an eye past expecting that violence has to come because violence has happened to you? It's very controversial. Even today, it's a very controversial topic. But especially back then, saying violence isn't the answer was crazy. This was in the middle of the Roman Empire, who said that peace comes through victory. Peace comes through victory. So being more violent than everyone else is the answer to world peace. But Jesus' teaching has affected all kinds of people. One person that you might not expect it to affect is Mahatma Gandhi. And he said this, and I think this is just right in line with Jesus' teaching here. An eye for an eye will make the whole world blind. Isn't that awesome? An eye for an eye would make the whole world blind. And that's what Jesus is addressing here, is we have to push it further. Eye for an eye is not going to cut it. How can we go even deeper into the idea behind eye for an eye? Because eye for an eye, at its time, it was a great law, but it has limitations. Similar to our own judicial system. Our judicial system is awesome. I think the American judicial system is one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world. But it has limitations, and we've seen that many times. And so we have to be people of integrity. We have to go deeper than simply the laws of the land. We have to push it farther. Because what lies at the heart of hatred for other people? Endless revenge. Endless revenge with no end in sight. And this is the thing that Jesus is combating in this passage. You guys have probably learned this before in school, but this is the water cycle. Let me just refresh your memory on this, right? You got groundwater runoff, after a good rain on into the ocean or on into fresh water, all these different places, and you'll have evaporation up into the sky where things will condense into clouds and then come back down once more as precipitation. So it's got three main components: precipitation, evaporation, condensation. You guys learned this in school, right? This is the super advanced version that I found on Google, and it is super blurry. It looks like it was taken by a potato. Just ignore that. Similar thing with violence in the world. The water cycle is a good thing, but can you imagine if the water cycle was like acid or bloodshed or something terrible? Violence works very similar to that. There's a clear pathway to people hurting other people in this world. Well, I was hurt by your actions, so I'm going to hurt you, has said the entire world before almost every single war or almost every single everything where someone else has gotten hurt. And people have every right to be angry. But as followers of Jesus, we're asked to push past eye for an eye onto something else. So how do we do that? Let's keep going. Matthew chapter 5, verses 43 through 48. You've heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. This is another Old Testament quote, and we'll get into that in just a second. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. And then this part is so cool. Such a cool image. He causes the sun to rise on the evil and the good. He sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. Everybody, whether they're good or bad, is on the earth, and God is providing for them. If you love those who love you, what reward do you get for that? Are not even the tax collectors doing that? Tax collectors were really bad people, by the way. And if you greet only your own people, or they were viewed as really bad people, whether they were bad or not, everyone viewed them as bad, my bad. Verse 47, and if you greet only your own people, what are you doing more than other people? Do not even pagans do that? Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. So what is Jesus trying to drive at here? Let's cue back up to verse 43 and 44, because this is the part where he says, but I tell you. You've heard it was said, but I tell you. You've heard it was said, love your neighbor, hate your enemy. I tell you, love your enemy. Pray for those who persecute you. So, just loving nice people, what good is that? That's basically what Jesus says here at the back. If you greet only your own people, only people who look like you, only people who live where you live, only people who, go to the same school that you do, only people that vote like you, only people that smell like you, talk like you, eat like you, all that stuff. If you only do that, what good is it? What good is it? What it is it's simply just a comfortable existence. And this is the thing that Jesus is talking about. He says, like, we're not here for comfort. Our purpose on earth is not here for us to just be comfortable. And preachers love to talk about that all the time. They always say, y'all are just comfortable. And it's a good thing to say. I mean, that preaches well. But this is also something that's pretty common that people talk about. Difficulty produces change. And so Jesus is asking us to find difficulty that we might produce change in the world through the work of the Holy Spirit inside of us, of course. Difficulty producing change. I want to read for you all very quickly this passage from Leviticus. That this is actually taken from Leviticus. Can you believe that Jesus has two major quotes from Leviticus tonight? The first, of course, Exodus was cited for the first little bit of our passage this evening. I almost said this morning, but it's also a passage in Leviticus that he uses as well. This is the passage in Leviticus 19, verse 18. Do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against anyone among your people, but love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. See, and that's what Jesus is driving at. Is it's still among your people. It's not pushing you out to them, the people on the outside, the people who are hard to love. And all of us have people in our life who are hard to love. I probably don't even have to explain to you what that means. All of us have incredibly annoying people that we want to just cut out and just completely ignore and pretend like they don't exist. Like, please do not ever look at me. Please do not ever talk to me. Please just walk away and go away. But Jesus is challenging us to love our enemies, to love those who persecute us. Pray for them. Pray for people who we should not be praying for because they're bad. So here's the major question, and it's a super practical question, and it's a great question to ask. How in the world do we deal with these people? Well, for 4 easy payments of $19.99, and of course shipping and handling, do I have a service for you? Something that I like to call the holy prank. The holy prank is something that can't be replicated. That's a lie. It totally can. The holy prank is wonderful, and it's what all of you need. Tired of dealing with really, really difficult people? Let me tell you about the holy prank. The holy prank is an idea that actually comes from our own Randy Harris, and it is a great one. The holy prank works a little bit like this. Respond to bad from other people. Respond to bad that's happening to you. Respond to bad towards you with God's generosity. We as humans believe that the only way to protect ourselves from violence is to inflict more violence. And it makes sense. And people logically talk that out all the time. The only way to protect ourselves from our enemies is having more power than they have. And it's brought our world to the brink of disaster many times, that way of thinking. It always brought us to the brink of oblivion. But the beautiful thing is that Jesus mastered this idea of the holy prank. When it came to someone who responded to bad towards us with God's generosity, few could rival Jesus Christ. See, this is the beauty of this passage. This is why I love it so much, is because Jesus perfectly embodies this teaching. Jesus embodies all of his teachings, but this one is so clear, most especially on the cross. Jesus absorbed blows. He prayed for his accusers. He carried his Roman cross more than a mile. He was led like a sheep to the slaughter. Like a sheep before its shearers is silent, he did not make a sound. Jesus had every right to be angry, to be mad. It wasn't fair. It wasn't fair. But I'm reminded of a practice that someone talked about once. Standing with Jesus on the steps of his trial with Pilate as the crowd screams that he be crucified. And Pilate says, "For what? He didn't do anything wrong." And then Pilate says, "I'm walking away from this situation. It's too hard for me." And you just say to yourself, "Jesus, why don't you do something? That's not fair. That's not fair to you. You should fight back." And Jesus doesn't. Jesus mastered the art of the holy prank. Jesus mastered the art of showing God's generosity to people that didn't deserve it, and it didn't make any sense, but for some reason he did, because that's just who he was. So let's talk about how you can holy prank someone. Let's move from the heavy to the serious and the practical, and also kind of fun. Here's how you can holy prank someone this week. Y'all ready? Let's get it. How to holy prank someone. First, pray for God's eyes to see someone who will be hurting you or taking advantage of you at any point during the week. So that's pretty simple. You begin your day. This is before you even see anyone. You say, "Lord, show me someone who's going to absolutely annoy the fire out of me, who's going to tick me off." Pray that it happens. I know that sounds weird. I know that sounds so weird. Pray that it happens, because then you'll be given the opportunity to holy prank them. Number 2, plan a very practical, emphasis on very practical, way to show love to that person. That's the hard part. This whole thing is the hard part, let's be honest. It's not easy to care about people who flagrantly do not care about us, who make us feel like trash, who make us feel worthless, who make us feel like crud. Number 3, and this is the really fun part. Take a hand, put it in your back pocket, and don't take it out until you've blessed them in some way or have a plan to do something. That's supposed to say something. And then lastly, execute your plan in a huge way. Do it big. Surprise them. Basically, pray, plan, hand in pocket, execute big. Y'all can do that. Y'all can do that. And this is a practice that will get you thinking about how important it is to end cycles, to break cycles. So that's what I encourage you to do. Use the holy prank of praying, planning, hand in pocket, execute big. Pray that someone annoys you beyond how much you can bear. Plan a way of blessing them. Hand in pocket until you do it, and then execute big. And then this is probably the biggest piece, and this is the most frustrating piece. This is just an extra. This is just so you don't frustrate yourself. Don't be surprised if they don't respond the way that you would like them to. That's the hardest part. Part of the holy prank is, and Randy Harris in his book, which I've been using to go through the Sermon on the Mount, he talks about this. It's a bit sarcastic, suing someone and asking, why don't you go ahead and just take the clothes off my back too? That's a bit sarcastic. Saying, oh, I'll take your stuff an additional mile, Roman soldier. It's kind of sarcastic. Slapping someone slapping you and then saying, oh, hey, go ahead and do this one too. It's a bit sarcastic because it's kind of an invitation saying to them, hey, if you're going to hurt me, at least hurt me and see me. Recognize that I'm a person, and that's a thing that can make us feel somewhat good. But the holy prank is not about making us feel good. The holy prank is about helping us realize the important, that we're not going to give in to that. We're not going to go eye for eye. We're simply going to absorb blows. We're going to pray for our accusers, and we're going to carry our cross. And so that's my challenge to all of you, is to find a time sometime this week to holy prank someone. Pray that it happens, plan for it, stick a hand in that back pocket until you actually do it, then execute it in a huge way. I know that's hard, but it's not supposed to be easy. If it's getting easy, let's talk sometime, because you probably don't know what the next task is. Following Jesus is such a wonderful thing, and I hope all of you are enjoying learning more about the Sermon on the Mount. I find this stuff, even to me, I haven't been doing this Christianity thing for a super long time, but I know it's true for even 60-year-olds, 80-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 25-year-olds, for you all from 12 on up. I know this stuff is so challenging, but that's why it's awesome. It's always somewhat challenging. There's always more work to be done. There's always more understanding or more seeking after Jesus that we can do. And I hope all of you are encouraged to try out holy pranking someone. There's few things that can truly show our love and our respect for the imago Dei, the image of God in another human being, than doing a holy prank. Pray for an annoyance. Plan for how you can bless them. Hand in a pocket until you actually do. Execute big. Do it. Do it, do it, do it. All right. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of the week. If you need me, I'm a phone call away. I'm a text away. I'm a Slack away. I'm a Zoom away. I'm a carrier pigeon away. Get a hold of me if you need me. Rely on your source group. Make sure you're reading your Bible. # Bible reading plan. Engage in some prayer this week. Talk to the Lord. Let him know what's on your heart. That being said, this is Titus saying see you next week. See you on Sunday. Bye.